Shout out to VR Games for the review code. I am both humbled and honored. To be honest, I didn't know what to expect when I installed Skyclimb. I mean, at a glance, it would be easy to assume that this game would be a shallow experience. Its bright colors seemingly used to appeal to a younger demographic. What I found, though, has left me genuinely surprised. Shallow, it is not. The moment-to-moment gameplay is difficult and diverse, and, despite its bright aesthetic, contains a world of more depth than I was anticipating. The story of this game is freaking wild, I'm not gonna lie. The game opens with you, a proverbial atom of sorts, standing alone, beholding the fruit of knowledge. The fruit, especially in this case, is a symbolic and tangible representation of temptation, plastered with the message, "Don't touch me," yet existing in a vacuum where no other option is present. As you extend your hand, your eyes are opened, and, in a moment of time, you discern both good and evil, light and darkness. And as Adam in the garden before you, this knowledge you receive propels you into a conflict unseen and unheard, where angelic beings of benevolence, once luminous in their purpose, have fallen into corruption. Once they stood as a mighty host, guardians they were called, safeguarding the fragile seams of existence and creation. But the progenitor of darkness, consumed with pride and greed, ushered in a war for dominance. One by one, the guardians succumbed, becoming twisted and evil, demons that bared little resemblance to their former selves. As a dragon, he gathered the stars of heaven and cast them to the ground, swelling the ranks of his insurrection. The divine being of light, upon seeing her host fall, pivoted and initiated a final act of resistance, creating a prison, Tartarus, the sealing sphere, where she could contain the darkness until a solution presented itself. That solution being you. As her champion, you exist outside the corruption. You are not an angel. You are not a spiritual being. You are temporal, while the prison itself and all its inhabitants are metaphysical in nature. In other words, you are out of your element. The divine being of light, however, has granted you a grace. She has sowed the seeds of your corporeal reality throughout the sphere. Handholds you must utilize to climb and navigate your way through this ethereal plane. These seeds ground your temporal being to reality. Exist too long, suspended in its abyss, and your essence will literally pop under the weight of eternity. Your task, then, is akin to a demon hunter or an exorcist, with the goal of delivering these fallen guardians of their corruption by the laying on of hands, i.e., slapping the darkness out of them. You are the champion of light, and thus your journey begins. Tell me that isn't wild, you know what I mean? Now, I may have taken a few liberties with the finer details, But if you've played the game, you'll realize my interpretation is apt. It is safe to say, I was not expecting this game to have anything resembling a narrative, let alone one as interesting as this. This is a key ingredient that's lost in most modern gaming, especially with how advanced the technology has become. Bit of an old man rant, but back in my day, we didn't have all these cinematic games that you watched more than played. The plot for most games in the 80s and 90s would be condensed and relayed to the player in a couple text boxes, or from an instruction manual if you were fortunate enough to buy it new. However, the boon of this is that it allowed our imagination to fill in the blanks, facilitating the creation of order and granting purpose to the player. I didn't expect Skyclimb to ignite my imagination in such a way, but I'm certainly glad it did. Which brings us now to the matter of gameplay. Like, what does the player actually do in Skyclimb? Well, as a demon hunter, your job is to utilize the seeds I mentioned earlier to navigate the ethereal environment with the aim of exorcising the fallen guardian at the end of each stage. This concept actually took me a moment to acquiesce. This is essentially a climbing game, but instead of scaling a mountain vertically, you're scaling a metaphysical plane where the hand grabs are suspended in the air and every direction is viable to your goal. Every stage gradually increases the difficulty and the complexity, constantly adding new elements and dynamics to challenge the player. The ultimate goal is akin to the Divine Comedy of Dante, descending the 9 circles of hell, defeating the bosses of each ring, and freeing the guardians from their corruption. There are even moments when you are endowed with a divine weapon, a pistol, rifle of sorts, which I can only assume is full of holy water. After all, you are an exorcist. To be clear, this video serves as my first impression. I haven't beaten the campaign yet, nor descended to the depths of its spherical prison, but I assure you I will. And when I do, I'll make a follow-up video detailing all my thoughts. Suffice it to say, I am quite pleased with Skyclimb. The graphics are clean, the colors are bright, and the scale of everything is immense. I want to make a particular shout out to the game's score. The music is simply some of the best retro style beats I've heard in years, hands down, and captures the aesthetic of those early chiptunes perfectly. And if that wasn't cool enough, you even get to ride a dolphin. Yes! Yes! First in the world. Let it be said here. Let it be known, let it be recognized. Let it be documented. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On a side note, the developers will add a level editor eventually, which seems perfect for this game. And though I do try to avoid the low-hanging fruit of simply saying this is the VR version of some flat screen game, I could see players turning the level editor into something akin to Super Mario Maker, with some devastatingly difficult levels for the rest of us to gnash our teeth upon. In closing, I'll simply say, this game is actually really good. The developers at VR Monkey set out to create a VR title that captured the elusive magic of those early retro days of gaming. And by George, they've done it. From the graphics, to the aesthetics, to the sick music, this game is a hallmark to a forgotten age. Thanks for watching.